The show you're tuned into right now was put together by students and staff enrolled in the broadcasting courses in the radio television department at San Joaquin Delta College.
Tom Margonda. Alex Salon.
Thanks for listening and supporting college radio.
Unknown Space Radio. Unknown Space Radio. Does love make our lives meaningful? Or is it an escape from our loneliness and suffering?
Tom Margonda, Alex Salon.
Is love a disguise for our sexual desire?
Unknown Space Radio.
Or a trick of biology to make us procreate?
Yeah, no, that's fine. Today we're talking about love. And the first thing I want to talk to you about is, are you concerned with it at all?
Dude, I'm so glad you bring up this question because I don't remember what I said the last time we talked about this.
No, okay, this is fresh.
Yeah, it's fresh.
But are you concerned with it? Because us humans, we kind of make it our life mission to fall in love.
Yeah.
And not just fall in love, but start a family. I know it's so ingrained in our culture.
Yeah.
And it's not just like, it all stems from love.
Mm-hmm.
Are you concerned with that at all?
Yeah, I'd say I'm pretty concerned with love. I'd say my end goal, whether or not like it isn't like the end of my life that it happens, I would hope that it isn't the end of my life that it happens, would be to probably fall in love and probably get married. You mentioned like just starting a family. I don't know if like that's something. Sorry. You mentioned like starting a family, and I don't know if like that's something I necessarily would want to do. It definitely is an idea that I would eventually, possibly, maybe would like to have. Only because I don't really see myself having kids, or at least not any time in the near future.
Well, yeah, obviously, but I don't know, there's an expectance that for you to reach that point. Is there any pressure? Do you feel pressure in that way? Because I don't know. Because if I'm in bed and I'm thinking so far, because, if I'm thinking, it's usually about the past or the future.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, it's like, I'm going to have to get there someday.
Yeah.
Not that I have to worry about it right now, because truth be told, I am not too worried about it right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know, love and all that. I've loved before. I've been in relationships, but I don't know, nowadays it doesn't really concern me as much as it should. It's not like high school where I was looking to fall in love every day.
Mm-hmm.
It's a nice feeling. And shout out anybody in love. But I'm not concerned with it right now.
I've been like told that people need to, the expression, you need to love yourself before you can love someone else.
Yeah, of course.
I've been thinking about that, and I kind of disagree with that statement.
I disagree with your statement.
You disagree with my statement?
Yeah, because I've been through it, and honestly, you do need to love yourself. But I would like to hear where you're coming from.
Yeah. I can definitely see where people are coming from with that idea.
No. Mm-hmm.
Because how can you put love into something then when you don't love yourself? I feel like with the story that I'm about to tell later kind of relates to this, only because I feel like that put me in such a down place in the sense of like love, that I just kind of have felt numb towards love. And I want something that's going to either like make me feel something good or something bad.
Okay.
So I kind of feel like, I know I'm like off topic, but going back to what I was initially saying, I just think like maybe I need something to show me love,
So you think
I need to put my love into something else because I can't put any more love into myself.
you think love will drive you to
be better.
Yeah, I get that. But it's like that shouldn't be in the hands of somebody else.
No, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean
that's unfair to ask.
I get where you're coming from, but yeah, when you make it unfair, when you expect it to.
Yeah, and I'm not expecting it.
Yeah, that's when it becomes a problem, I think. Mm-hmm. And I know this firsthand because I've been through a toxic relationship or two, and yeah, I think the main problem was I didn't love myself, and that's still something I struggle with. So I don't know. I gotta improve on me before I do anything else. When it comes to like bringing a child into this world, there's something that confuses me about it because, like, that child, with life comes a commitment to death. That child is now destined to die at that point. At some point in his life, you and I are both destined to die.
Yeah.
So it's no, it's obviously something that all of us are going to be carrying like we're going to be carrying that on our shoulders our entire life.
Yeah.
But also just the whole world we're bringing the child into. This just doesn't seem like a place for children. And granted, people do live with it. We're good examples of it. I think we turned out fine. But I don't know. I don't have an answer to this, but it's just something that confuses me. But that could be just me now being I don't know, I'm still young. I suppose I'm not supposed to be thinking about bringing a kid into this world yet.
Yeah.
But it confuses me how people will bring a child into this world. Shout out parents. This is not a shot at you. This is my own confusion with, I don't know, the world.
Bringing a child into this world. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
The world has got a lot of problems with it, and the problems are only going to get worse. So I understand what you're thinking. Where you're thinking that it's cruel, but at the same time, I feel like that's also a question on your own existence. Because it's like, if you think about it, not saying that having a child is like the end goal for everyone, and everyone should have a child.
Yeah, I don't know, but it just seems like that's supposed to be the end goal. Not saying it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's kind of questioning your own existence in the sense of why keep living? Why keep going?
How did I get here?
Only because I feel like our end goal is probably to pass on some sort of legacy. Have something for people like to remember us by. And having a kid is probably the easiest way of doing that.
Yeah.
So if saying that we shouldn't have a kid because it's you're bringing a problem into the world, it's kind of like saying that, like I said, I'm just saying the same thing over and over again. Why exist? Why do you keep living?
Yeah, I know. It probably sounds like that, but truth be told, again, I'm not saying that. Mm-hmm. I'm just confused.
Before I get into this, I'm just gonna give you the audience and you, even though you already know, a brief like explanation of what this story is. Essentially, this story is about how I fell in love with my best friend and it didn't go at all how I thought it would. And I know what you're thinking already, but just let me explain. So, I need a minute. So the reason I'm telling this story isn't because it's something I guess I kind of probably am holding on to it, but the person, I'm not holding on to the person anymore. I'm holding on to the way that I felt at the time, and I miss this feeling because I haven't felt this feeling in a very long time of just genuine love, you know?
I get that. No, yeah. Just in certain situations when I look back, it's like I don't miss the person.
Yeah.
I miss the feeling.
Going back to what I was saying, it was probably like not until sophomore year that we ended up becoming really close friends, and I kind of always thought of her in the way of I kind of do like her, but at the same time I always knew that we were just friends, and I was able to live with that. We were like, high school friends. People fall off and become friends again, and so it's just kind of like, I wouldn't say it was an off and on relationship, but it was. But it kind of was. But it wasn't until our senior year then we got really close again. It was like probably like near the end of the senior year that we got really close. Or for me, it felt like that. I really started to just feel for this girl because like every conversation we had was just, I'd rather talk to her than anyone else. Everything that I was into, she was into. So this girl was really like the epitome of everything I was looking for in a person. And
yourself, one could say?
Huh?
Yourself, one could say?
I guess so, yeah. Because I feel like she just completed who I was. She was everything I wanted in someone. We hadn't talked for a little while. But it wasn't any like reason why. We just hadn't. We just weren't talking.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, I get it.
There wasn't a reason for why we weren't talking. We just hadn't talked.
You just don't talk. Yeah, it's fine.
So I texted her one day and I was like, hey, do you want to hang out? And she said yes. And I had for a while, for pretty much all summer, because it was like the end of summer that we actually just decided to hang out. And it was all summer that I really like just thought, what am I going to say? What am I going to say? And it boiled down to where I just thought about this so much that internally I came up with the script. But it wasn't a script because it was how I was feeling. During this time, I honestly, like, you know that feeling when you're in love and you just can't sleep because you're just so into someone?
Yeah, I'm not going to get into it, but yes.
That's how I felt. It's just everything. I just always thought about her. And it was just during this time period, it was just, I don't know if this was just being obsessed. I'm afraid people are going to say that I was just obsessed, and I'm afraid that people say I'm obsessed.
You were in love, man.
But I was really into her. I only ever thought of her. I could just only think of her, and I just only ever wanted to talk to her and be with her.
We're going to take a short PSA break, but we'll be back here on Delta College Radio 93.5 KWDC.
So going back, we meet at the mall. We get there, and we're in Barnes & Noble, and I'm on top of the world, right? My confidence is just through the roof. Like, I can take on the world. Nothing could stop me.
Until
we went to Barnes & Noble, and that was just kind of our first stop we went to, because that's just where we met up. She stops and she tells me, like, hey, so, you know, guess what? And I was like, what, you know? And she goes, I'm engaged. And I thought she was joking. I genuinely thought she was joking. It's like, are you serious? She goes, yeah. And she tells me that she's engaged to the guy she was dating sophomore year.
Did you know she was?
I didn't even know they were talking again.
Oh, why, had they broken up for a bit?
Yeah, they were supposedly done for good. As far as I knew, they were done for good. And I even asked this guy, I was like, hey, dude, like, you and I are cool, and I don't want to mess things up. If there's something there, I don't want to impede in what you guys are doing. And he was like, yeah, like, nothing's happening between us. Like, dude, like, if you need help, I'm down to help you, because I'm excited to see people get together. I was just, after she hit me with that, I was just entirely drained. And I felt it, and she felt it, and I could see she felt it. So she goes, and we go to the like little cafe, and she goes to order something, and I was just, for lack of a better term, shook.
Okay.
Like, completely to the core, you know?
Yeah.
And I just couldn't really speak. And we just ended up started walking around, and I was gonna tell her, like, how I felt, and I tried so hard, but, like, I just couldn't get the words out anymore. Everything that I had thought of, everything I had practiced in my head was just, like, I couldn't say it, because I was just rocked. Looking back, like, she asked me, like, how long have you had feelings like this? And I told her, like, since the party. But deep down, like, I didn't think about this, because I was going to say this. It was just, in our senior year, we went to a trip, and I don't remember if she walked off or I walked off, but one of us isolated ourselves from the group because we couldn't just handle the group of the entire class. Sure. And basically, we were just looking up to at the stars and just stargazing, and it was just like a moment, you know.
Where was this?
This was, I don't know, some camp.
Oh, okay.
Because we went on a retreat for our class.
Okay.
And I wanted to tell her, like, that was the moment that I knew, you know?
Looking up at the stars, you saw the stars align.
Because, like...
Or something like that, I don't know.
She told us, we in that moment, we had a very, like... We talked about some very personal things. And I wanted to just, you know, up and say it, like... But I didn't. And I wanted to tell her that's when I started to have feelings. Like, truly have feelings. And that's what bothers me the most, and I think that's why I'm telling this story, is because what bothers me the most is she'll never know what I felt. And I wouldn't have said anything or done anything if I didn't think it was there, because I know better. I know so much better not to make a move on a friend, because it's not going to work out the way you think. But where I was and where she was, I thought there was genuinely something there. Otherwise, like I said, I wouldn't have even tried it in the first place. So, and the thing was, you know how we were having a conversation where you were like, you don't seem angry, you don't seem like an angry person? Well, I used to be.
Did we?
Yeah, we did.
Oh, okay.
Because, like, the whole short joke thing. I was like, I'm short. You're like, well, you're not angry, so. But I used to be a very angry person. And that's just, like, the way I used to cope with things was just through anger. And so she really, like I said, she really didn't give me any reason to be mad at her. And I that was one thing that bothered me for so long, is because I didn't know how to cope with it. And
did you just, like, were you, because you didn't know how to cope with it, did you just feel like numb to the entire feeling of it?
Afterwards, I felt really numb for a very long time. And it actually probably wasn't up until last summer when I started to feel better. And so, you know, we ended up falling off because...
That's what happens.
That's what happens when stuff like this happens. And she was going to go get engaged or go get married, and I had no place being her friend anymore because I was in love with her. She didn't know that. It was just a crush to her. But anyways, a few months later, I find out she gets into an accident and she no longer can walk. And I also find out...
That took a miserable turn. I did not know this was...
I also find out that the guy she was with left her after that, after her accident. And I was pissed. I was so mad. Because if you have the guts to say, I'm in love with this person so much, I want to spend the rest of my life with them, I want to marry them, and something like that just uproots you.
Do you know if that's what happened? Do you know if that was the reason? I don't know
if there was a direct comparison, if the direct cause, I mean. Yeah. But they weren't together after she got into her accident. Kind of a red flag, huh?
I don't know. I can't really speak on this.
About a year ago, last summer actually, I don't know, just out of the blue, I had a feeling like I should try to talk to her. Just so I wanted, like I said, I didn't want to leave everything on that note. Yeah. And so I tried to talk to her, and it was one of the most painful conversations I ever had in my life. It was just so, like, you know the term pulling teeth?
Does it refer to pulling teeth as in the like, pain?
Pulling teeth to, like, it's basically you're trying very hard for a conversation. And that's what it was. It was like I was feeding so much into the conversation just to get nothing back.
Yes, I get that.
Yeah, and it wasn't like me, I wasn't talking about anything very specific. I wasn't talking about anything. I was just trying to have a conversation.
Yeah, no.
And I could tell that she was not into it.
It's harsh.
And so I was like, okay, well, if this isn't working, then I don't think we should talk. And she's like, if you don't feel like it's a good conversation, then okay. And that was it. And I was like, well, okay. And that was my closure. That was my closure. Was just trying to have a conversation. I couldn't have a conversation.
Some things, I mean, even though you meant it was felt to be, even though you felt it was meant to be, I said that totally wrong.
No, you're good.
Some things just don't work out, man.
Yeah, and that's what I got from that.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of good closure. As harsh as it sounds,
yeah,
like that reassured you, I think, to some extent, even if you didn't get over it right away.
Yeah,
that this wasn't meant to be, and if it seemed like she never needed you, then you never needed her, man.
Yeah. I'm really glad I went through this experience because it really changed who I was. Because at that time, I was really just an angry person. I was incredibly arrogant and selfish. Going through that, it really changed the way I looked at life. It really changed my demeanor. The person I am today is nowhere near the person I was 2 years ago.
Actually, I want to ask you, with all that in mind, are you more upset that you lost a potential lover? I don't know if lover is the right word.
I know what you're getting at.
Or a friend.
I'm upset that I lost a friend because I think going into it, I knew it was going to be one way or the other. It was either going to be we're going to get together or we're not going to be friends anymore. And I think at the time I was okay with losing a friend, but I do miss her.
Yeah, even aside from your feelings.
Yeah, I miss
her general presence.
Exactly.
Yeah, because you said she was.
Because to me, she was my best friend.
Yeah.
For a long time. But yeah, and I think that's why it affected me, because it was still a loss of a relationship, even though it wasn't romantic.
Tom Argonda. Alex Salon. Unknown Space Radio has been a production of KWBC 93.5 LPFM, Delta College Radio. This program is made possible by listeners like you. Programming is produced by the students, staff, and faculty of San Joaquin Delta College's Radio Television Department. It is supported by the Delta College Department of Arts, Humanities, and Multimedia, the Career Technical Education and the Workforce Development Office, and the State of California. Thank you for listening.
My name is Alex. My name is Tom Surganda. And you're now leaving Unknown Space.